Thanks for tuning in to the Rub Some Dirt On It podcast. I'm your host, Coach Brian. Today I have a very special guest, one of my longtime friends. Back to kindergarten, we've been friends that long. A dear friend of mine is in town visiting, Matt Johnson. Thanks for joining me today. I'm excited to just take a little trip down memory lane.
Oh, you're welcome.
So on the Rub Some Dirt On It podcast, we talk about youth sports, coaching. So one of my questions for you started off is, what is your kind of fondest memory of playing youth sports?
Fondest memory, or it's in summary of?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Say a specific one. I don't. Most satisfying event. Losing our basketball game in 8th grade.
Oh, really?
8th grade.
Why?
So I could go to a specific one.
Yeah. So you have this very unique ability to remember things from our past in very detailed circumstances. I do not. I have a general idea. I don't even know what basketball game you're talking about.
Yeah. So it would be a specific game. We had, I would say 8th grade, because of youth sports for me was a combination of my youth would have ended at start of high school.
Well, high school is kind of still considered the youth.
So, but it would be a midpoint. That's why I would say that one. And it was, we played a basketball game in our 8th grade, which was a culmination, was our final game prior to entering into high school. And I've just felt like it was because we had grown as a group of friends and developed into something, and we didn't actually accomplish our goal at the end. But I felt as a group of people who were teammates that we had, which involved a variety of different people on our team, that we had really kind of gelled or grown into something. And it didn't really ever, I don't think we ever accomplished that again as a team.
No, and they did keep that starting 5 together, and they put us up on JV as freshmen, and we skipped freshman basketball that following year.
Yeah. But it was the main thing. Main thing was, I would say, it was a growth thing, and we lost in what our goal was at the end, and I think we all kind of felt bad about it. Also, one of the times when we went to what you'd call like a championship game, and we kind of psyched ourselves out and lost a game because we didn't play well mentally, not necessarily physically. Yeah.
So that's the one thing I do remember about that season was we were also playing Y basketball at the same time, and
Different groups, leagues. Yeah.
Yeah, but we were playing Y basketball. And we had basketball games in the middle of a tournament that we left the tournament. We went and played our Y basketball games. Then we went back to the tournament. And while we were playing Y basketball, I sprained my ankle.
So someone got in, yeah.
and I remember getting home and my dad putting like all kinds of ice on my ankle. And then they taped it up so tight I could like barely move my foot so I could play in the evening game. And Coach Breen was so pissed
They got injured.
that we got like, why would you guys do that? And then you get injured. But that was I remember that moment.
There's another specific thing of a specific moment you said you didn't remember.
I don't remember whether we won or lost any of those games. I assume we did pretty well because we were a good basketball team.
There was just that final one. It was because of examples of just not focusing and being ready that we ended up losing to a team we should have beat. But
what would you say your favorite sport is? Watching and then growing up playing.
Oh, watching is the sport of baseball, but playing was definitely playing football. Yeah. Reasons why? I just enjoy watching the game of baseball because I find it relaxing.
Okay.
Same reason why now I find myself actually listening to more baseball games, not necessarily watching, but listening to baseball games because it's kind of like a story being told. Yeah.
Now you're out in Seattle, so unfortunately the Mariners came up a little short last night.
Yes, but as a team achieved a lot, so there should be
yeah. You talk about the idea of having a second team in your first home right now, like so. We're Cubs fans, obviously.
Yes.
Not obviously to anyone, but we are Cubs fans. But we grew up in Wisconsin. So we have this little inkling to say, okay, we like the Brewers. If they do okay, root for the Brewers because we're from Wisconsin.
Yep.
We live here in Columbia. I do with my family. And so the Carolina Panthers, I hope they do well, but I'm never going to root for them over my Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you feel about your new home out in Seattle? You've been out there for 18 years, so it's not like it's new, but like rooting for the local teams.
The other teams, it's just part of community. I
There
see,
it is, yeah.
professional sports is a part of a reflection of culture of the people around. So, I'm with you. Did your example of Carolina Panthers and the Bears, and I would be with my Green Bay Packers. And actually, I really don't have much with the Seahawks because there's always kind of been a little rivalry with those two teams because they both played well. But you have respect for the local team, and I like to go to the games. I could call the same thing on baseball. The Cubs always would be the team I'm rooting for or paying the most attention to. But my hometown team, I go to those games most often. So
Yeah.
we. I enjoy going to the games just to see the different people, the different types of foods, different ballparks.
What's your favorite MLB ballpark you've been to?
Favorite MLB ballpark? Wrigley Field. Has to be because of the memories that came with it and how many times I've gone there for different reasons. And
Sure. Okay, outside of Wrigley, what's your favorite?
Fenway.
Oh, yeah.
Fenway Park. Going with a new family member, experience of the day. It actually turned out to be a rain day, and it wasn't even much of it, but it was just going to the old ballpark and hanging out there. And you can tell the people from there in Boston love their baseball.
The only time I've ever been to Fenway, I was in Boston for a work trip, and I was like, I'm in Boston. I got to go see Fenway Park. So I drove over there and had lunch inside the Green Monster. They have like this bar inside the Green Monster, and had lunch there all by myself. And I was like, yeah, I made it to Fenway Park. Maybe
check it off the list.
Come back another day when it's an actual game.
The bucket list, yeah. Both of those stadiums, Petco Park in San Diego is another cool one.
Yeah, Petco's really nice.
Because it's built into what was an old historic area where, they salvaged the area.
That's a good choice. I think outside of Wrigley, Petco would be...
As far as the stadium, very nice.
Yeah. Well, Wrigley had, because of it in the city feel, all the new stadiums are modeling that feel around what it used to be like. So you go to San Diego and it's all the local shops and it's like neighborhood style.
And the streets, yeah.
Well, in Atlanta, what they did is they built a neighborhood around the new stadium.
Oh, wow.
So there's great hotels and great restaurants and apartments and everything's just, they've literally built a neighborhood around the Braves stadium.
Because the Braves' old stadium was Fulton County.
Well,
that was like just a big parking lot around it, right?
It was Fulton County way back when.
Yeah.
And then it changed over and they rebuilt a new one. And now they've built another one since then. And that current one they then built up around. So that's a very popular business model. I mean, Carolina is trying to do the same thing, have got stuff in the works to kind of develop around Williams-Brice to bring it more into the community and have, revenue sources outside of the stadium. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
When you think about coaches when you were younger, what are some of the things that you really liked about some of your coaches growing up and some of the things you didn't like?
Oh, coaches growing up. Well, I had...
Because for the people listening at home, you played football, basketball, baseball, soccer, all the sports, the same ones that I did.
Yes.
The entire time.
With a variety of different coaches. The one thing I would say from all of it is I would say all of my coaches made me a better person. We had a variety of different ones. Say soccer as an example. I just didn't have much background with call it the history of the sport of soccer when we were upcoming, but we had a bunch of different people that taught us and certainly put in a lot of effort.
What was it like having your dad coach? Because your dad wasn't... recollection is he was never really a head coach. Maybe he was a head coach here or there, but...
Because when I was coming up, I was the oldest of my family, so it was kind of my dad's first cycle through a lot of the leagues and organizations and acclimating to people. But my dad was always involved. But my dad wasn't called he was a supporting role. And he, even with me, he was always involved with all of my games. He was a participant in my games. He gave me feedback on my games, but he didn't really give me criticism, too much critique, particularly on behavioral things or supporting my teammates. He was much on that, but not so much the performance of it, which is what he led to other coaches, which is where I learned from other people. So that's why I say they all made me better people, because I learned how to listen in different ways and was learning new things, much like you learn from a teacher in school.
So there's a thing out there where it's like you don't want your kids to dread the car ride home, right? Because there's so many parents that take the game's over, their car rides home, and they're just beating their kid up about how they played or what they did. And so I wouldn't imagine good old Mike was beating you up in the car on
That
the
would
way
be
home.
the almost exactly what I was saying. I never felt that after a game, or fulfilling something like I hadn't done enough in a game to earn his respect, or but certainly not to gain his attention or his critiques of the performance. But like I said, most of it was generally how I'd interact with teammates, or I should have been like, well, you should have been more supportive of John, or you should have been more supportive of Brian. You should have, a lot of stuff my dad would even say is the reactions that you give. You know, your
Body
team
language?
responds to your body language, whether that was on a sport as a catcher in baseball. The rest of the infield is going to see if you're not up for it, or you need to be confident for your pitcher and consistent. So, yeah, and different coaches that I had, I think that was it. I had a lot of different styles, but I tried to embrace all of it. I guess I never kicked back on coaches. Maybe that's part of what we could have talked a little bit about. Some coaches that I had, maybe at times I had a different feel for, it would have improved me, or could have been a better player. But I was taking their criticism because they're the ones viewing how my performance would go. So, yeah, but I was more or less, I generally listened to my coaches for the most part, and I wasn't one to, I used the example of the soccer game we were at with your son last night, where there's a father on the other side doing contrary directions to what his coach is telling him while they're playing. And I guess I had to deal with any of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And also believe strongly that I should follow what my coaches were telling me. Yeah.
What when you think about back on your athletic journey, do you have fond memories of it? Do you think of it, oh, I wish I had done this, or I wish I had regrets, or how do you look at how sports were in your life when you look back on it?
Fond memories. And I still apply it to my life today. Managing business or large-scale construction projects. It's the discipline that came along with that. That's one thing I learned, is having to do things that you don't necessarily want to. The other part is the teammates, of having to find ways to do things and get the best out of everyone you're working with. So I have very fond memories, and I don't actually have really much of regrets, other than I would go to behavioral things, where the few times my dad would have said, like, you might have had a bad attitude, or you should have been more prepared for your game. Like, don't be angry about your performance if you weren't prepared. My dad was a big part of that, be prepared for things. So that included being on time, eating properly beforehand, having a good attitude about getting to practice and getting to, making it a priority of being there, which sometimes as a child you're kicking back, or you have other things you want to do. So
your dad got like you mentioned, your dad got involved with all the local sports organizations. And if I remember correctly, he kept reffing soccer games long after we were gone.
Continued to ref soccer games, which was an example.
Yeah.
And he even started reffing soccer games by getting himself enough knowledge about the rules of the game, which I find, if I look back, is pretty impressive, because he was certainly more able to influence my brother, who continued to play soccer as his primary sport throughout high school, because he was more informed. And he just wanted to be involved, including baseball. He took over Little League Baseball, and then he ended up continuing to coach high school baseball.
Yeah.
After I was gone.
Interesting. What's something that somebody might not know about me so here's my angle to this. Everyone's got their own memories of how things are, right? But I don't have your memories of how things were for me. So I'm kind of curious, like, what did you think of, or how are your memories shaped for how we came up together and where I was able to take my athletic career? Like, what'd you think about it when I finally made it to Carolina?
I was so very proud of you. Yeah, chasing your dreams and fulfilling them. So, very proud of you for that. Not only that, in addition to going to school and always taking education, very important. And that goes back to that responsibility and preparing yourself and making the decisions that got you there. The decisions that got you there was doing the right things, listening to your coaches, which was generally your father, but not always.
Nope.
And he certainly would give different critiques than other coaches. So that we worked with. So we worked always as a group. But it was you making it to Carolina to play football was kind of an achievement for all of us. And so that would be one in a positive way. Other things not to know about you or may not have known about your journey. Like we kind of laughed about the other day when we played Pee Wee football. We grew up together, same age. We're only about a month apart, but yeah, you got to play lightweights and heavyweights at the same time.
Yeah. Because I was a little guy.
Yeah. Same attitude, same feistiness, the rest of that stuff. But I was then your offensive line guy. You know, I had to do that. And I couldn't even play the same position as you then because I was limited by weight restrictions. Yeah. I couldn't make myself smaller, and I certainly wasn't intending to do that. So, and then we grew together, though. So as we grew up together. I use that as an example of divided by rule, but we ended up being on the same team, and we watched all the same stuff, and we prepared the same way for the most part. So that would probably maybe something nobody else, just a size difference. And then you had, but you always prepared yourself into that way. And then let's go on to when we would be in high school together. No more Pee Wee footballs, playing different schools, but we made each other better.
I think so.
Yeah, we had to. And nor was it one gratitude of the other. It was equal. So,
well, it was also like a partnership, right? So baseball, for example, I typically had a pitch. You were catching. You were the fullback. I was a tailback. For us to succeed, we had to work together.
But it was communicating and knowing what each other was doing. In football, it was a zig or a zag. I mean, it was, I'm sure for a lot of people, I didn't have much of a choice. It was one direction or the other. An over pursuit, certainly you could beat a group. We could beat 4 or 5 people at a time, which was interesting.
So kind of want to know what you truly feel about your nickname.
Bubba. Oh yeah, that would be one. It was created by you, yeah, and it's stuck on for a lifetime since the 6th grade. Yeah, I don't know. I embraced
you embraced it. Yeah. Like most people called you Bubba throughout.
Oh, it still continues today. Yeah, it's still stuck. I'm still stuck.
Sorry.
But Matt was a common name, so we had to divide it up, right? We had a lot of Matts.
We have 4 Matts in one class. Yeah. It makes it a little easier.
So we had to divide it up. So I embraced that, and that stuck, and that would be even part of the bond we still have. I mean, sticks today. That's what's pretty cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's even one of the finer. I guess I would want to speak on that too. It just led to other things too. The way we would be in performance of sports led to how we treated wanting to do things with school, which meant like even when you didn't, we'd be tired. Well, we got to still get ready for that for the next day. Or me breaking my leg in a playoff football game and I had to be to Mr. Moon's biology exam the next day because he wasn't going to give me a break. Or you had to write the whole thing down by hand. Yeah, it was discipline. We did it together, made it easier.
I was thinking about broken bones. It makes me think about you trying to snowboard for the first time.
Oh, I broke my butt. Yeah. Yeah.
That was during basketball season too. We're like, oh, Bubba's out.
Yes. Yeah.
Broke his ass.
Broke my tailbone, and another year was a broken leg. Yeah.
But now you're a skier. You ski all the time.
I do, yes. That's why I can look back at it and how I did that. Yes, I enjoy doing it now. I don't fall down so much anymore.
No.
Yeah, that's why skiing is supposed to be standing up, not falling down.
Where are some of the cool places you got to go ski? I know.
Oh, mountain-wise?
Yeah.
all over the place.
The hot dog at Grand Geneva doesn't really measure up.
Doesn't do it. Zermatt in Switzerland was a peak and a highlight. Not only that, because I got to go with like a private ski guide, or a third generation guy who was just really, really cool. So the stories that went along with it. But Whistler, Canada, only 3 hours from my home, so go there quite often now and gotten very familiar with it. California, all down Northern California, Utah, so a variety of spots. But I can say that skiing for me became a sport that I picked up as a personal thing after I was not be able to be as involved in team sports. Mm-hmm. I continue on where we mentioned baseball. I did recreational softball and things like that. But in the winter time, it became a personal thing for me to kind of have a new challenge for myself and make new goals. And so it was destinations. Yes, coolest spot. It's Zermatt, I would say, picturesque, amazing place. Makes you feel very small. But those are the highlights. Been all over the place, especially on the West Coast. Yeah.
There's a book called, I think it's called Younger Next Year. And the guy who wrote it talks about skiing, picking up skiing in his later years to maintain athletic mobility, and gives him something to train for and things like that. So I think when I was reading that, I thought about you and all the skiing that you're able to do, and how does it wear on your body at this point?
Well, it's a great core. You got to be center cardio, lots of cardio all year round. And I had actually picked up the skiing thing when I had I blew out my knee or sprained my knee skiing while doing it. And the recovery process was riding a bicycle. And then I started physical therapy, and it happened to be there was a ski conditioning course that was starting at that time. So I jumped into that in addition to then getting on the mountain. But it is a great thing because it's a year round, and there's really no way of reenacting skiing unless you're actually doing it.
That's true.
Because it's so engaging and for short spurts. But you prepare all year long by having your body in shape.
So here's the next test for your skiing abilities.
Yeah.
Is teaching Joanna how to ski.
Yes, my daughter.
Because I did it with Hollis and Everett, and it was exhausting.
It's going to be an adventure. I've got her one of the little backpacks with the pulleys on it, and
I put the harness on them and basically just went down the mountain like this. They quickly got rid of it as fast as they could. So the last time we went skiing last year, neither of them needed, they were all full blower.
They're seeking their independence.
I call them my little bombers because they get off of that chairlift and they're bombing it as fast as they can go down. One time I was with Everett. We were going down, and Hollis had already gone down, and we didn't see him. He had gone down. I didn't see him as we were going down. We got down at the bottom. He's still not down on the bottom. I'm like, what is going on? And I was like, all right, well, we got to go back up and come back down so we can see if we see him. And of course, by the time we're midway up the chairlift, I see him going down. I'm like, oh.
The bombers.
And he, of course, fell, and he couldn't get up, and he was crying, and it was just like, he blaming me for leaving him on. I was like, I didn't know where you were. So you got that to look forward to.
Yeah, I know it's coming. This year will be the year that we'll get her out there. Yeah. She's played in the snow before, but this will be the first time get my daughter on skis. Yeah,
she's you're a girl dad, so she's a dancer.
Starting with the ballet stuff, but she's pickleballing. She's getting into the
pickleball. Okay.
And started the tennis. She's doing her court, and she likes her rackets at home and practicing. She's got a good swinging from both sides already. Wow. Switch hitting. Seems to be left side dominant like Dad, or hoping so.
Now, in the YMCA soccer program here, they start at 4 or 5. So
I think there's an option for 3-year-olds where we're at with the soccer, but I have not gotten her enrolled in soccer yet. It is this dance, the ballet stuff that she's been working on, which is the closest thing she has to at 3 to actually having kind of a regiment that's been being administered. So versus just following some rules. Yeah.
Right. Well, I look forward to watching you from that journey since I'm a few years ahead.
Yes, yes. Well, I'll be reaching out to you for guidance, of course. Yeah, yeah.
What what do you think kids should be focusing on in their athletic journey? If say you had a house full of boys like me, how what do you think your approach to athletics and youth sports would be?
Get them involved, and it doesn't necessarily matter which sport they choose. I think, but it starts similar to what I said at the journey with different coaches was learning new things and learning it from people. Well, in your instance, you're pretty involved as coach oftentimes, but they're learning from someone else, and they're also having to learn to adapt to be in an environment where they have to share with others. So the encouragement said, get involved, which is what I'm looking at with my daughter. That's a whole new horizon for me. Ballet, that's my wife's background, things like that, but it's all new to me, but I'm embracing that whole idea. And to get involved, similar like I remember to my dad, if I don't know all the rules and the procedures, support those that are making it happen. Chalk lines, help with soccer, getting nets ready. There's a variety of things though to say getting involved. That's for the sake of the kids to learn.
Yeah.
Having the kids there with you, at least that's the way from my standpoint right now. It's trying to be involved and learn, be a part of that community, which is how I reference sports in the first place. I think it's a reflection of the community.
So what was your mom's kind of take and feel on things sports wise?
My mom was all for it. She was also she was just very supportive, and I don't just mean supportive in the way of playing the sport. That included the arranging driving schedules to get us to practice on time. That involved all the dirty laundry that came home afterwards, in addition to making sure we had food eaten and in bed. Also an environment to make sure we could do our homework and school and all that, our schooling. My mom was integral into that just as much as my dad.
Yeah. What?
She was always very supportive of it too. Yeah.
Well, she's the one that brought it up to my dad to say, "Hey, you want to go play football?"
Well, on the football side of it, yeah, but all of those things all along.
And I guess our parents didn't really have much reservations about playing football. We didn't have this idea that, oh, you're going to get your head smashed in. And
oh, it was as quick as my mom could get me out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be my dad's influence on that stuff too. He was just waiting for me to be a Green Bay Packer. So there was, never safety concerns with that stuff.
Wasn't the time.
Yeah. Just the idea we're getting a helmet on, because otherwise I was out doing the same thing without a helmet in the playground, So.
What's one of a funny memory that you have from playing high school football? So in the South, right? I mean, they have the soliloquy of playing football in Texas or Virginia from Remember the Titans or Varsity Blues is like, this is the South and this is what we live for, Friday Night Lights kind of thing. We didn't have lights on our field.
No.
We barely had a set of bleachers. And I describe it to people like, yeah, there was a rope that went around the whole field and then everyone stood behind the rope. And the parents that cared, they walked up and down the sidelines with the ball. And there was one little set of bleachers for the parents that couldn't walk so well. And we didn't have lights. Our game started at 4:00, so we could be done by the time it got dark.
And the field wasn't even directly connected to the school. Everyone had to drive down the way. But, I don't know it any other way, I guess. It was just kind of how we did it.
I remember one time we got down, so we got to play in a league that was half schools from Illinois, half schools from Wisconsin, some private schools, some public schools, some prisons, some orphanages, and some deaf schools.
Yeah, we did have quite the variety.
We had a very interesting conference that we played football in. And then like super wealthy private schools from Chicago. And we got down to, we were at Northwestern, and I remember this little kid coming up to me and saying, "Are you guys the team from the cornfield?" And I was like, "Yeah, we are."
Yes. And from his instance, though, there was Hebron was the same thing, though. Yes, they were another in the cornfield scenario. But yeah, we had an interesting dynamic. So funniest moments for me of that and the teams that we played. No, the most memorable I would say is when we went into what was the boys' juvenile detention facility. And it was only interesting because the team that you played against when you went into the facility was different than the players that you watched on film that played on the away team, because they had different restrictions. And even on certain weeks, the away team had different players because they weren't allowed to go, or, we went in and played there at the school, and we became very popular there. We had the first down markers, and my nickname was Bubba. And they knocked me into one of those, and they bent it in half, but they didn't have any more. If you remember, it went from a U shape. So it was like the third down marker turned into a U, and the other team began cheering for me after that happened. And they would bang from the
Bang on their barracks.
Yeah, because the other players, or it would be their stands, their fans were watching from their individual rooms, but they didn't get to be out and about all there. Yeah, so it was interesting dynamic, but it was a very good team, if you recalled, that we played there.
They were very good.
And they had some big boys that were not that we had never seen play before, but they were moving too. And it was a very, very hot day. Yeah.
Well, junior year,
you got hurt that game too. So I think for
that was junior year.
That was the toughest game we ever played.
It was
for me. I remember because they knew who I was and they kept ringing my bell.
So that was junior year, because I ended up spraining my knee on our first game of the year. I missed the next game against Maranatha, which we lost. And then I came back and played. That was my first game back. And I still had like 250 yards, but I was running on a one leg.
Injured.
Yeah. And we won. I felt like we won, not last seconds type stuff, but it was a close game.
Very close. It was hot, very hot that day. And you weren't. I don't think you played defense even that day. I don't know.
I think I did, but it was tough.
Yep.
So
that was a highlight and an interesting type of scenario. But like when you went in on our bus, as an example, was
so as you would expect, the prison school hits the hardest.
Yeah, and it was mainly because we didn't know who some of those guys were. I had preparation for some of that, but yeah.
But the dirtiest team, who would you say the dirtiest team was?
The deaf school.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was.
The deaf school, because they would
pretend they didn't hear the whistle.
Knew it. But
and they were the only ones that ever grabbed me underneath the pile.
Yeah, but I didn't actually I have to say I didn't play with we didn't play against them very much.
Yeah, we did.
Well, we did in our senior years, we didn't really.
The year I broke the record.
Okay.
Was we were playing them, because I remember getting a picture with Roy Hansen.
Afterwards?
On the sidelines afterwards, yeah. And they had that giant hill that we'd have to run.
That we did in the summer, the pregame, because we usually have a warm up. Yeah, but that was fondest or funniest. I think that would have been it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now I'm even thinking back to that. I remember that was a game when I was very tired. There was another one where we played Mooseheart in a game. It was in Illinois, which wasn't a funny thing, but that's when I really got my belt. If there was a concussion protocol, that's probably would have been into that one.
Me too. I remember throwing up in the car on the way home.
I had to ride home with my parents after the game because I knew I wasn't right. But dirty, I wouldn't have remembered it as that. Yeah.
No, they weren't dirty. They were just the deaf kids were the dirtiest.
My memory. Yeah. I think it was a convenient thing where they thought they could go away. I would probably do it too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Couple extra.
I remember the pouring rain game in Lake Forest.
The field was soaked. That was all rain. Yeah. We had several of those.
That was a good one.
But we always had a good time. I would say that much. We always had a good time.
We had, for as much as we love baseball, I wish we had more baseball.
Fond memories of playing baseball. Yeah, that was it. I remember the first time I went up to bat. I was my freshman year, and I hit a triple right off the bat.
I remember that.
My first time, and that's when I just said, okay, well, I can hit the ball against these guys. And playing against seniors at that time as a freshman and hit the ball against them. And
the luxury of going to a small school is that as freshmen, we were good athletes and we got to play as freshmen.
Yeah, got to play. But snapped that out and began to progress. That was more of an individual thing. You just had to play the best you could within doing your job. Mm-hmm. That's how I critiqued myself on most of it. How to be the best that I can at what I'm doing.
Yeah. I tell people all the time here is like, I love baseball. If I had grown up here, I probably would have been a baseball player and not a football player in college, because you can't get good playing 13 games a season. Yeah. And it's like then when the summer rolls around, then it's, summertime activities and no one else wanted to play baseball. So travel ball wasn't as big of a thing. So then we just moved on to football camps and basketball camps.
That's
and
right.
Baseball was an afterthought at that point, but
it was also the benefit of being able to play multiple sports. So
yeah,
hand in hand.
And it was. I remember my freshman year of college. I went back. My dad was still coaching, and it was snowing.
Yeah, I guess they would get
It was the week. It was Easter weekend, April 15th ish, because that was my mom's birthday.
Yeah.
I surprised them, went back home, and it was snowing. I was like, they're playing a baseball game in the snow.
Yeah. They did. We might have got a couple of days where you had flurries or things like that.
Sure.
Not really frozen, but it was just old man winter and
cold.
Yeah.
We had plenty of gym time.
A final kick. Yeah. And access to all the stuff we'd have to do.
I also
lots of rain delays though. Lots of rain games getting redone or going all the way there. Then the field was too muddy to play. That would be unfortunate. It was a waste of time. But
the Williams Bay was a great school because it was a small school, so it was almost like a private school, but it was public, and so it afforded us a lot of opportunities to do everything, which created a great education. But because of that, it was also like this little engine that could. I think about the math bowl. So the math team apparently has won the math bowl every year for 20 years since we were doing it and winning it. And it's just like, apparently we know our math.
Well, you go back to preparedness and, if you wanted to go in an excellent coach in the field of math, the teacher combination that they had there, there was dedicated people.
Yeah. The football program now it basically folded, and then they resurrected it into 8-man football.
Yes.
And this year was the first year that they've been able to make the playoffs in 8-man football since they started it 10 years ago.
Yeah. Well, at least they, I guess, revived it. That's
good.
They
revived it. But they had to take 2 years off where there was no football at all. And the kids were having to go to play at Delavan, I think. And then
in a cooperative setting.
Yeah. And then they were able to bring it back. But after our class left, it was a slow trickle down to nothing. And it's wild because it's like we had 160 kids, 9 through 12. 44 guys were on the football team out of the 160.
The 25, yeah.
I mean, if you take half of that, and that's the boys, and then half of the boys,
yeah,
it's very few people didn't play football.
That's right.
Here, there's no real, you don't have to make a choice between, like we had to make a choice between football and soccer. football was a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Your brother chose soccer.
That's right.
Here, you have to make a choice between baseball and soccer and lacrosse, because there's lots of schools with lacrosse now, and
Oh, it's very popular in
Yeah.
Seattle area too.
yeah. So, but it's a spring sport, so there's more competition for those spring sports and less for the fall sports, I guess. Football remains supreme.
Well, yeah. But do you think it's? Are you seeing? Was there a drop in numbers of kids? Because I wasn't as familiar with it because of safety concerns. Do you think that's part of what?
Yeah.
I mean, and at that time is when it became very.
I absolutely think that the CTE stuff with the NFL came out, and the numbers plummeted. Now, once Coach Blakely had his issues and then they finally fired him, they couldn't find a good replacement. So they stopped winning. So as they stopped winning, there was less kids wanting to go out. And then the safety concerns were released. And then everyone was like, well, we're terrible and we're not going to risk getting hurt. So then that was like the nail in the coffin for the full 11-man program. And then they were able to bring it back to the 8-man football.
But at least they have it.
But I've heard that the 8-man football is all passing.
Well, that's how you'd eliminate 3 offensive linemen, reducing that hitting part. So it's almost like it's
not quite, obviously it's not 7-on-7, but
very similar. Yeah.
But they don't like they could run the ball, but they just don't. It's mostly a passing league, I guess. I haven't actually seen it.
Not me neither.
Wouldn't mind going back for a game at some point, but that's what I've
I'd still go back for a homecoming game and cheer on the folks
so
over there.
The other feather in the cap is none of my records will get broken because they don't play 11-man football anymore.
Yeah, it's just solidified.
That's right. Cement that in there.
Yeah.
The amount of times when we were able to go to football games, like I think about this when we go to watch Hammond play, and they're a football powerhouse, right? They've won 8 state titles in a row for the private school league, and all the kids are there. It is an event. Like when we grew up, we went to the games and always were playing at the games and playing our own football games while the other big games were going on. And we looked up to the players, and that's the same type of thing that happens with my kids now, looking up to the current high school players at Hammond. It's a great communal thing, like you were talking about
That's
before.
what it's about. I think it's a branch of community and representation of wanting to do the right thing, not only on the field, but then trying to do the right thing in your community. You just realize there's other people out there rooting for you, and not just for you to lose a basketball game, but to be successful.
Well, and that's very true, because like I remember because we grew up in a small town, everybody knows everybody. But as a kid, you might not know that person over there knows your parents and knows who you are.
Yeah, or the example of you may see an older set of folks that would show up at the football games and root for all the games. You'd wonder why, and then you'd get this. Well, they had 3 kids from a previous generation, but they didn't fall off from still supporting those other kids, because even though their children may be physically gone off at school or grown up as adults, they still participated in the community.
But I always thought that was important to recognize, so that when you were out around town, you had your best behavior.
Yeah, you're representing more
eyes
than
are
that.
on you, and people know who you are, and that was something I certainly was conscious of, especially since such a big extended family.
Yeah, in town, you had more people of your extended family living right within. The village limits.
What do you think about when you think about playing sports, and what would you have done differently growing up if you could have chose something to do differently?
Chosen to do something differently.
No, I mean, like,
I would have just,
your approach.
I mean, there would be different. If I was to go back, it would be the same thing with, I guess I'd be beating the drum on what I chose for school and how it tied to then my preparedness. I mean, I can always say living in a small town, I didn't always make the best decisions, and I had repercussions because of that. It's usually because of idle time.
Mm-hmm.
Idle time. So if I had, could have found more structured time for myself in between sports and school, those are the types of things I was at. And actual preparedness for my team and stuff. I mean, sports was my number one thing. School, also just as important. I don't know that I have any real regrets. Things maybe we could have chosen to do. I could have maybe dropped a sport and focused on only 2 instead of 3. I ran into injuries and stuff. That's what happened for me. So I got burnt out by some of them,
The working out.
Yeah.
We did not have the weight room that we had was pathetic
compared to even in what would be programs. But I think that's just a sign of change.
Yeah, it's a sign of the times, and I think they have actually a nice one now. But I remember like looking at Elkhorn's weight room when we were in high school, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, this is a real weight room."
Yep.
And I think that would have been the biggest difference, or could have helped anyway. That we were, I guess, our system was good enough. We were competitive in all the sports. We were, good. We had every other year. You seemed to have a good set of athletes, so it always made it for a good teams. But we never worked out.
No, which didn't maximize that potential. But that's part of. Let's go back to that idle time. Had maybe something like that been there, that could have been more of the focus, right? In a structured system, which is one of the things. If going back to our coaches, I will give our coach, our regular coach Blakely, the structured requirements he had for practice and items like that. But outside of that, that's not going on one or the other. He wasn't a personal trainer for us, but
no, I also thought he always did the bare minimum. Like he was an old school coach because he was just it was old.
Yeah.
Not that he was old. He was our parents' age, but he was like, he tried to keep that old school mentality, which was fine. But he was just doing the bare minimum. I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't have played at Whitewater or Stevens Point or something if you wanted to.
Or I've been pursued to do more of it. Mm-hmm. But I think part of coach had even said that to us was just being in a small town to allow us to be ourselves, though, too. Without putting too much pressure of specifically just going on to college to play sports. Yeah.
Well,
but I'd look at someone like yours.
I see that as, if there are plenty of guys that we grew up with that had they known college sports was an option because our coach tried to help them move on to the next level, may have done better in school, may have gotten further in college.
Oh yeah, but more.
So if he wasn't doing the bare minimum, we had plenty of great athletes come out of our school that should have been playing at the next level, especially in Wisconsin's hierarchy of schools, because we have that Division III, Division II, and Division I, all in Wisconsin. And nobody
was
ever played. Like, you always looked back and it was like, oh, Coach Breen played at Carroll College. I don't even know if he played all 4 years.
No, I don't think. Well, I don't know that. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. But he was 12 years older than we are. So there was no one in between there that was good enough to go play at the next level. I don't buy that at all.
Yeah, there was a lot of good athletes.
And it was the fact that we were left to our own. Like, nobody recruited me. I recruited myself.
And you need to get out there and let people know that you were good, and there wasn't much backing from anyone else internally. Yeah.
So I
There's many guys, but you can think back to like one example I would think of would be basketball. Is even Josh Parker did a lot of that, right? I mean, he was an amazing scorer, amazing basketball player. I don't know how much coach helped him in pursuing anything for college or not, but I don't know that. Josh would have to speak on that.
yeah, I don't know either.
But one of the best examples I could say is, I mean, he had.
I don't recall him playing at the next level, or if he did, he didn't do it for very long.
Yeah, I don't recall, but that's a different sport, even though we were into.
Yeah, but he was the best basketball player we've ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had a really good run of basketball recently, so there might be some other kids out there that were as good, but he was definitely the best that we ever got to see.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he could dunk though.
He didn't have to. He shot from the 3-point line.
I mean, I let we get into conversations with other people about like basketball and high school basketball, and I'm just like, I just want to let you know how white our school was. We had a towel dunking contest.
Yeah.
Instead of
actual
dunking contests, because none of us could hold on to the ball, or we had one player who could dunk consistently, and then he wasn't even allowed to play in the towel dunking contest.
Yeah. Yep, because that would be exclusion.
But I was like, but I could do a 360 towel dunk.
And that would even looking at that, would we go back to training though, and things like that, right? Because there's plenty of kids who had the height, just would have had to do it more often. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed this conversation of one of our many conversations, and I end all of my podcasts with trivia questions.
Okay.
So I got a couple for you. Okay.
Yeah.
You ready?
As ready as I can be.
We're going to stick to the NFL.
Okay.
All right.
Stick to the NFL.
So, which team has the most Hall of Famers?
Steelers.
Nope.
Did I get a second one or no?
You get a second one.
I would otherwise go Cowboys.
Nope.
Yeah.
The Chicago Bears.
The Bears. Should have known.
What is the oldest NFL team to retain its name and location since joining the league?
Since joining the league. I guess it might sound like it might be a Bears thing again too. They were one of the first two created. Or the Cardinals.
Packers.
Okay. I was going to the Chicago thing.
I know. I was
Chicago
I
Cardinals.
wanted to make sure you had one of those.
Give me one of mine.
Which is the smallest NFL stadium by capacity?
Smallest by capacity. I would have said Oakland Coliseum, but that doesn't qualify anymore. The new Allegiant one, Las Vegas.
Soldier Field.
Even with their edition, the spaceship edition.
Yeah, even with the spaceship edition. In 2010, this player became the only grandfather in the NFL.
Oh. 2010, only grandpa.
I'll give you a hint. It's one of your boys.
One of my boys. Packer.
Mm-hmm.
And Roger's the oldest guy. No, he doesn't have any. 2010. You got me on trivia questions here now, though, but I got to give you an answer now. Julius Peppers.
Oh, that would have been a good guess. Brett Favre. Only grandfather to play in the NFL.
He was the old man.
That was an interesting one. I hadn't heard that one. He wasn't with the Packers in 2010. He was with the Vikings probably.
Yeah. But that was it. Favre, that was an easy one from our time, which he ruled during that time, yeah.
Well, thanks again for taking a trip down memory lane with me. This was another episode of Rub Some Dirt on It. We'll see you next time. Make sure to like and subscribe.